Hey, I'm Janelle and this is toDIYfor. So I have seen this project literally all over Pinterest and you can customize it to your own room. I think it seems to be very popular for nurseries and I absolutely love the craft. Yes, you could probably go order it off of Etsy from somebody, but you can easily make this DIY yourself and I'm going to show you how.
So you're gonna grab the colors that you like for your room. I've actually picked these up at the dollar store, so nice and cheap. And then I went to the hardware store and picked up 6 feet of a very thick rope. Now in hindsight, I would suggest not getting a rope that looks something like this. I would get something that's a cotton that you could actually use as your frayed edges on your piece, similar to the ones that I showed you in the Pinterest photos that I saw. Lesson learned. So to do this project, I would definitely suggest folding your rainbow out like I've done here. And then I'm marking each one of those folds with a little bit of electrical tape. So you'll see why, because once I unravel it, I've made all of those marks. I now know where I'm going to make my cuts. However, before you cut it, you want to go back and you want to put more tape there, make it a little bit wider so that you can cut in the halfway mark of the tape. So now each end of your rope is taped off. That just means it's not going to fray. So before you just go ahead and cut them all, make sure you're measuring them out each time because mine were a little bit off. So make sure you go back and measure them as you're cutting each strand, starting smallest to largest. So next you're really just grabbing your colors and you're tying a knot off on one end. I wrapped it down a little bit to cover up that electrical tape and then wrapped it back up. And then you're just keeping this wrap very tight. So it really depends on the string or yarn that you're using. The thicker, obviously, the better, the quicker. I was originally going to do this with embroidery thread, and I'm so happy I didn't because it would have taken even longer. But just be careful and tedious with it to make sure you're covering up all of the rope underneath. Eventually, you will get to the end, and then you're just going to tie that off. And for mine, it's not that. It's a little sloppy, but that's okay because I'm going to be covering that up and I will show you how I'm going to do that. So just work your way through all of your colors, and once you're done, you'll have something that looks like this. Now I have my little rainbow. I'm going to assemble it, but before I glue that all together, we're going to cover up those other ends. Like I said though, if you got a cotton rope, you could keep those strands longer and then you could just fray them at the end and it would be so much simpler. You wouldn't even have to do this process. But because I bought the wrong rope to wrap, I'm going to show you how I fixed that problem by just creating tassels. Super easy. I used my phone as a template. You could use cardboard. You wrap it around a whole lot, grab that extra end, and you tie a little knot. So you kind of create a little bow, I guess, at the end. The opposite end, you're going to cut out all of those fold lines, and then you have a little tassel. I split the other end and wrapped it around so that essentially just covers up the messy end of each of my ropes, and I'm just connecting them all to the same colors. And this is kind of what it looked like when I was done, just using a bit of hot glue to keep that all in place. So finally, the last step is just hot gluing each one of your rope strands together. I would suggest working your way from the inside to the outside, smaller sections, and when you're gluing, make sure you're kind of gluing a little towards the back so you don't have any of the glue pressing and squeezing forward so you can see it on the finished project on the front side. So I flipped it over when I was all done, and just to show you how I hung it, created a little loop with a piece of yarn, and I made it so that this will not be seen when you hang it, and I just hot glued that into place, and that's it.
So like I said, a very easy project to make. It's a little bit time consuming, but just throw on a TV show or a movie or something and plop down and just start wrapping your cord. And this project can be even easier if you purchase the right rope to wrap from the get-go, which I kind of, looking back, wish I had purchased different ropes so that I could use it to be those frayed ends instead of having to make all of those tassels and finish it off. But it's a great project because you can totally customize it to your own room, and it just seems to be very popular for nurseries, so a great little addition there, or maybe a baby shower gift if you have one coming up for a friend or family member. Let me know what you think of this DIY, give the video a like, and if you enjoyed the video and make it yourself, I'd love to see how your DIY project turns out. So follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at @JanelleSteeper. You can tag me in any photos so I can check out your DIYs. That's it for this week. I will chat with you next Wednesday as I do a video every single week, so please come back, subscribe, and I'll talk to you then. Cheers.